Hey everybody, and welcome back to Fresh Set. I'm Sabrina,
And I'm Kevin.
and we are back again. This is our last week of the summer break.
Thank God.
Yeah. Next week we've got a race. So this week we are going to start a bit of a series that we kind of talked about. We've mentioned it a couple of times about rivalries in Formula One. And here we are. We're doing our first group of rivalries,
Yeah.
notable rivalries, and we kind of discussed that we're gonna make it a series. So
Yeah.
more to come.
Somewhere we can fill some time later on. I know we got another 3 week break
Yeah,
later on in this year,
yeah.
somewhere between, what did we say it was?
September,
Between,
October-ish, I think.
yeah, between Coda and somewhere else.
Yeah,
Whatever that one is before it.
yeah,
So yeah, we'll do it, but we'll stick for this week. We'll stick with two more recent, more fresh-ish
yeah,
rivalries.
yeah.
I mean, because now, after one we're going to talk about, there hasn't been really anything.
No,
No.
nothing crazy. I mean, there's been drama between people on track, but no
Yeah, but no big
rivalry.
blow ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody telling each other against the or in the media that they're who's at fault and that they did it on purpose and just
Yeah.
pointing fingers and
So
crying foul, and so
yeah.
yeah.
No, and I mean, I think we used to see it a lot more in the golden era of Formula One, if you will.
Oh yeah.
And we will talk about some of those. There's lots of past drivers that have had a lot of drama that stuck around for quite a number of years.
Yeah.
But this week we are kind of focusing on one driver in particular and two of his rivalries, which
Yeah, we'll get into more of his other
he's
ones
got more
at a later
rivalries.
at a later date.
Yeah,
Um,
but
yeah, it just seems like everybody wants to pick on Lewis,
yeah.
or the other way around.
To be
That's
fair,
at some point, yeah.
most of these Lewis hasn't started.
He hasn't,
No.
but during
Yeah.
during it, he kind of gives it as good as he gets. So
Well, exactly. But I mean, hey, you never teach your kid to hit first, but you teach them to
hit back,
fight back.
100%. Yeah.
But all right, so we are going to be talking about two rivalries that Lewis had in his career, which is still going. So hey, there could be more. The first one is Lewis Hamilton versus Nico Rosberg. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen, and just specifically the 2021 season. That's their most notable, recognizable rivalry.
It's really their only real
Yeah.
brush up, I
Yeah.
guess.
And it was a lot of external factors that went into that rivalry, not just two people hating each other. So
Yeah.
we will get into that one, as we always say. But starting off with Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. So some people may recognize Nico. If you're watching on the weekends, watching the races, he is currently a pundit or commentator, whatever you want to say it. He does interviews. He does post-race interviews with the drivers. He is a former Formula One driver, and he had one championship. He won one Formula One
championship.
driver
Yeah.
championship and retired after
Called
it.
quits. Yeah. Retired champion. That's what you want to do.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah. Nobody else can contest you. You were the best, and you went out on top.
Yeah. So he just wanted one, I guess, and he's happy doing commentary with Sky Sports, F1 TV.
And he's great. I love. It's the best commentary on there, other than Martin Brundle.
Yeah, he's great at it.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of people may recognize him, and just kind of starting from the beginning. So Lewis and Nico were teammates from 2013 to 2016 at
Yeah.
Mercedes. They were both kind of dominating the Formula One
Yeah,
at
it
the
was
time.
always like a 1-2.
Yeah,
There was never really,
yeah,
there's no other real competition. I mean, there was, but I mean, there was the Red Bulls, Sebastian Vettel as well, but
yeah,
it was always one of those two that were on the podium,
yeah.
if not both.
If not both, yeah.
Yeah.
But they and during those 4 years or 3 years, um, Lewis won the championship twice. Nico won it once.
Once.
But they had history. They started in karting together. Lots of places you will read that they were actually best friends. They had lots of friendly competition uh, on and off the track. Have seen Jensen Button kind of talk about them because he was racing at the time, and he said they would race to see like who could eat pizza fast enough.
Yeah.
Like they were just constantly bros
Yeah.
racing with everything. Uh, at the time, Lewis was always the faster of the two, where Nico was the more analytical one, studying constantly the car, how it works, what it does. And I mean, we can see that Lewis was incredibly fast, uh, and he just knows what to do in the car.
Yeah, he had more of a feel kind of
Yeah,
for not that he's not a technical mind, but it was more so Nico who could, deliver on lap times,
yeah,
tire strategies, race strategies. Lewis is more so he's going to get in there, he's going to feel, he's going to find where he can pick up an extra tenth here and there,
yeah,
or how he can drive that track.
yeah.
And it just comes natural to him. He still does it.
Yeah, he still does it. Some days doesn't want to, not so much this season, but some days doesn't want to race. But
No, no. Usually
uh,
when things are looking a little bleak.
yeah, but I mean, the first real, they were excited to be teammates. I think this was something that they, in their karting years, teenage years, wanted to be teammates. You want to be teammates with your best friend, but like we've said many times, your biggest rival is your
As your
teammate.
teammate. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't
uh,
know how they thought this wasn't going to turn out to be horrible.
well, and the thing is, one driver is, whether you want to admit it, teams want to admit it, there's always a number one and there's always a number two.
Always.
So,
And you know that Lewis Hamilton, with all the praise and all the hype that he had around him at McLaren,
yeah,
that he was the number one driver.
yeah. I mean, he had veteran drivers, Nicky Lauda,
Yeah.
like bigging up this young kid.
Yeah.
It's kind of saying like Mercedes is so excited to have them. Mercedes needs to have him. It's the best move for him. Uh, I mean, if you're Rosberg, you're kind of like, listen, I've been here. What do you mean that he's this new
Yeah.
kid coming in, who's my friend, is going to come in as the number one? So that kind of started it. So 2020 or 2014, I should say, uh, the first race of the season. You see the fighting already. Uh, friendly, friendly battles. What?
Friendly but close.
Yeah, close
Friendly. Yeah.
battles.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
No,
two
not
teammates.
giving up as little as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, to your teammate, and making sure that they're not, that you're taking them to the limit. That
yeah,
you know that this is my car.
yeah,
I'm like they're battling for number one. They
yeah,
are.
yeah. So we see those battles. Nico wins the race, and then the drama really starts. So we see, or it comes to light, that Nico
Comes out, yeah.
was using illegal engine mode combinations, which Mercedes wasn't supposed to be allowing him to do. Lewis found out about it. It was also public knowledge.
Well, they're
Um,
gonna test things. They have all that data. It's all
yeah,
there for everybody.
yeah. Lewis found out about it and also found out that Nico's strategist had been compiling information on what was called a dossier, basically, had a
Yeah.
dossier on Lewis, and how Lewis drives the car, what he does, what are his modes, the best way to kind of beat
To
him.
beat him. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
In a technical sense, yeah.
yeah, and it's teams do this. We know they do it. You are going to have to know whoever you're fighting on the grid, you have to know how they work. It's just a
When
little
it's in
extra
your
level when
team.
it's your own
Yeah.
teammate. It
Well,
seems
because
a
you're
little
getting that extra, like, yeah, teams have that data. They understand how he drives because they can see it in that data, how
yeah.
he's in a mode or whatever. But beyond that, I mean, they're getting inside information of how he uses them, what he
Yeah.
likes to do, how he likes to defend things,
Yeah.
um, everything,
Yeah.
everything. And there's supposed to be that trust, right?
Yeah.
Engineers don't usually talk unless it's about the car. They don't usually talk about their drivers. So, there's supposed to be that trust between them.
Yeah.
And it's,
It's
yeah,
broken.
it's, yeah, 100% from day year two.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah, so it kind of that puts a sour taste obviously in
Sure.
Lewis's mouth, which I think it would sour anybody.
Yeah.
And Lewis basically says, if that's how we're going to play it, well, I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I guess rightfully so. And we do see later on in the season, Lewis does use those same illegal engine modes. Uh, and he wins. He wins a race that way. So, uh, you know, don't start none, there won't be none. But
I know, but then when you're going to get into trouble with it, I mean, what's the,
yeah,
I did that I don't understand. If Nico's already done it and Nico's already gotten in shit for it,
yeah,
why would you do that and take the same risk? Because you're going to get found out. It's not like he
yeah,
didn't and got away with it for so long.
yeah,
He
exactly.
was immediately
It
out.
was
It
one race.
immediately. Yeah, it was
Literally the
not a
first
lot.
race.
Not a lot of forethought into
Yeah,
what your plan was here.
yeah. So, and then where do we go after that? I think
Monaco,
Monaco, which is the
which we've seen a lot of this tactic.
yes,
Just again, well, we kind of saw it actually with Red Bull a couple years ago as well. But
yeah,
you don't usually always see it with your teammate. You do see it a couple times. Um, yeah, I guess was it? It's Nico's going through and both making it to Q3
yeah,
in Monaco, which is we all know if in Monaco you start where you finish in qualifying.
yeah,
And as Nico comes around and he's going on his final lap, he has to turn off the car. He has a problem. He has to turn off the car. He has to pull into the lane. Was it the pit lane or was it
it was like the
the off road or
off
whatever?
road, yeah, the
Yeah, the
safety road or whatever you want to call it.
whatever. It's just the
Yeah,
actual road in Monaco.
yeah,
Uh,
just a side street. You just
yeah,
drove home.
and fancy that Lewis can't finish his lap in Q3 to try and get it to P1.
Yeah,
Right, and so Nico takes it, or he
yeah,
starts ahead
yeah,
of Lewis. Ends up
and
finishing P2 in that race.
yeah, and of course,
Uh,
like Kevin said, I mean, and we saw it this year. Where you finish is probably where you started.
yeah,
So,
no,
and Nico swore, "Oh no, that there was something wrong with the car." There was,
there might very well have been, but everybody comes back into the pits before their final stint in Q3.
yeah,
So maybe it's something easy they can change. You
yeah.
never know.
Anything's possible.
Yeah,
Anything's possible.
yeah. What do you want it to be?
Yeah. Allegedly, the stewards did check, into it to see if there was any sort of, he pretended or there was something actually wrong with the car. They found that there was. Uh,
I don't know what it is they found,
I don't know
but
either.
I mean, a mechanic could have forgotten to put a bolt back on
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
or just yanked out a wire somewhere.
And again, anything's possible when you're being mischievous.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and I think again that was kind of the start or beginning of it, and then after Monaco was when Lewis really kind of made the statement of we're done. We're not friends anymore. So
yeah.
that's when we really see all the fun stuff happening, all the fireworks after that.
Yeah. And then after that, later on in the season, we see that Nico admits to literally hitting Lewis, which we'll see it again in 2016.
Yeah.
Not intentionally being mischievous, like you said.
Yeah.
Which kind of really just is like the final nail in the coffin, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
After that, it's when you do it to somebody else on track, you do it to another racer, it's your temper's flaring, whatever. Mercedes have lost control of the emotions of their drivers at this point.
Absolutely. Like
100%. There's no debrief in the world that's gonna fix this.
no.
Although they did have a pretty good solution in 2016.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll talk about that one.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the season. The rest of the
Yeah.
season kind of goes with minor incidents here, there, close calls, and ends up with Lewis ending up winning the 2014 season.
Yes.
So he still makes it through. He gets his second championship.
Yeah.
Because he had the one with the McLaren.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where it ends, which probably leaves a much more sour taste in Nico's mouth.
Yeah.
After all of these things he tried to do. None of it worked.
Yeah, none of it worked. And I mean, you can't hit somebody on purpose. And then you can't admit that's what you did. Like,
well, it's better if you do, I think. I mean, hey, they're going to think you did anyways. They're going to think you're lying anyways. Yeah, I literally, I just watched when Vettel did it to Hamilton, which we'll talk about in another episode. And he's like, why did I get a 10-second penalty? I'm like, you literally turned into him. And like, everybody saw it. You hit him in the back, which you thought he brake tested you. Then you pulled up beside him and sideswiped him.
Yeah.
So, and he's like, I don't know. But we all saw it. So it's like, you can't hide it.
It's shocking.
There's 1,000 different camera angles.
Yeah. Brand new information. Did not hit him. So that was 2020, or 2014, 2015. No difference.
Nope. Pick up right where we left off.
Yeah. Lewis is leading the championship for the majority of the season, but Nico never really fell off. Like he's still there. He's still finishing P2, P3. Like they're still having battles. But again, Lewis was just quite a bit ahead. And we get to the Belgian Grand Prix, which Lewis wins, and we kind of have this bizarre cool down room. And I'm not sure if anybody notices the cool down room or stays to pay attention to the cool down room, but you can tell a lot about the driver relationships, how the race went in those cool down rooms. Lewis comes, he gets P1, Nico gets P2. Lewis, I don't know why he tossed the hat, but Lewis tosses the hats, the Pirelli hats that they get, and they have to wear, tosses the hat to Nico, who's sitting down. Nico, it hits him. He grabs it and just like whips it back at Lewis, hitting Lewis. Super awkward.
That was the one with Vettel in the room, right?
Wasn't it? Or it was Max sitting off to the side. I don't know.
Vettel or Max?
Who's sitting off to the side there? But
they're awkward. Like they're like, oh.
This is fun.
Yeah.
It must be Vettel because I don't know if Max.
Oh, no, I'm thinking the Max one in 2016.
Yeah. So Max, So it must be Vettel, but just bizarre behavior. And again, now we know as the public, this fight is going on. These two drivers are no longer friends, but now you're actually seeing it off the track.
Yeah.
So again, PR disaster for Mercedes when your drivers are throwing hats at each other in the cool down room. We're supposed to be relaxed.
Yeah. Again, no control whatsoever. Like it's all gone.
Yeah. They refused to speak to each other, look at each other. Press conferences were not good. And again, more awkward because they're still finishing P1 and P2. They're still finishing on the podiums together. So very awkward all around.
Yeah.
For all of them.
And then we was this in 2015 or was it in 2016? I can't remember exactly.
It might be 2016.
I could be wrong. I can't remember. I remember whatever. The on-track battles have gotten so bad at one point, and damages because they're openly hitting each other, or pushing each other so far off the track that they end up crashing. Or one of them takes the other one out. That Mercedes finally intervenes, and like a parent, literally like a parent with two petulant little children.
Yeah.
They say that if you guys have any more collisions together, not anything else on track, but anything together, like you guys come together, that isn't ridiculous. It's not another team's fault.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not,
If it's an
something
on-track
with a
battle and you guys come
car.
together,
Yeah.
you guys are paying for the damages yourself, which Nico had to do at one point.
Yes.
I think he had a bill of like $300,000 or
Yeah.
euros or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so that was the last time
Yeah.
they ever had. I think
Yeah.
it was I can't remember what race it was. Was it the one who pushes him off onto the grass?
It's possible.
Coming down the straight. I can't remember exactly. I can't remember which one, but yeah. And they end up paying, Nico ends up paying that. And that's the last time because he enjoys his parties on his jet.
Yeah.
So he's not spending it on a car.
Yeah. And there's been, Nico has talked about this openly in interviews and said, like, he thought it was a joke. Like, he thought when Mercedes said, you guys will have to cover, they weren't going to actually make him pay. And they did.
Yeah.
They made him pay.
Imagine just getting that bill just sent to your house and you're like, what? What is this?
What do you mean? So, yeah, I think it was probably way long overdue for that little bit of punishment from.
Yeah, like
from
2
Toto.
years overdue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day one in 2024, in 2014, I keep saying that, 2014 should have been the clue.
Yeah.
Sit these guys down. I think, we've seen other teams, and again, we'll kind of talk about it, but we've mentioned it a little bit earlier on, is Alpine sitting down with Gasly and Ocon, who, again, there's a rivalry there that nobody actually really knows what it's about. But basically,
we just know they don't like each other.
Yeah, just sat
where that
down.
happened.
I mean, you
I know why he doesn't.
Yeah.
I know exactly why he doesn't. But they were seemingly friends throughout their karting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then they're both French. You think maybe they just don't like each other because they're both French.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. And I mean, Alpine sat them down, and whatever the conversation was like, figure it out or we're going to do something. Obviously, now fast forward to 2024, we see that they have done something. But
because there was one person who was more so the problem than the other.
Yes, exactly.
Not saying Gasly was.
Yes.
Completely innocent, but
yeah. And again, that other person, Ocon, has his own set of rivalries with other teammates as well. So,
yes.
Which, again, we'll get into.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a rivalry because he's not really competing against anything because he sucks.
Sure.
But I mean,
fair.
I wouldn't call him and Alonso a rivalry. I mean, there's no comparison between the drivers.
No, just hatred.
Yeah,
hatred on both parts.
Yeah.
We digress. But 2016 season, again, the same stuff is happening. The battles are there. There's no more collisions. Purposeful collisions, but it's a strong season for Nico.
Yeah.
The friendship is still non-existent. Mercedes is still struggling with them, and it's tough because you're also winning the constructors. You guys are doing so well. You're getting P1 and P2 that you're actually winning the constructors as well. You're on track to win the drivers for, I don't know, the 8th season in a row or however many it was at the time. And
that was
2016.
2016 was their, not in a row because there was 2016 was like their third one in a row.
Yeah.
Because 2013 was Red Bull.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're doing so well on all fronts, and then you have this drama between your two drivers. Not even like off track drama. Like, it is on track, off track. It is all around drama. And so
I've gone through that whole season, and when you hear their radios, the only thing they're asking is, where's Nico? Where's Lewis? What's he doing? What tires are he going on? Why am I on a different strategy? And we hear that now, but it's much more purposeful when they're saying it back then.
Right. And
like, you are not going to leave me out while you're putting him on a better strategy or whatever, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. And now sometimes when you hear where, like, if you hear Lando saying, "Where's Oscar?" He's maybe looking for help. He's looking for, the defending, or,
Yeah,
making sure that they're gonna get the 1-2, or
yeah.
that it's not, "Where is he so I can make sure I'm beating him at all
And I mean,
times."
they are the closest rivals on in that year. I get
Yeah,
it, but
yeah,
it sounds more so like I can't let this a hole beat me.
yeah, pretty much, pretty much. So 2016, like I mentioned at the beginning, Nico goes on to win. 5 days after the season is done, he retires.
Yep.
He retires from
So
Formula One,
when he woke
and
up from his hangover,
yeah,
I'm done.
4 day bender.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm
Uh,
sure it was.
on the
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, if you've been fighting this
For
guy,
3 years.
or who's no longer your friend,
Yeah.
and you finally beat him relatively fair and square, relatively,
Yeah, relatively. Yeah,
uh,
yeah. Yeah.
you're just like, I'm done. He's joked about it before. He's joked about it since, that he just wanted one championship. Bizarre thing to just want one, but hey,
Well, he's not like everybody else where they retired and come back or
true.
flirted with come back. I don't think he's
Yeah.
even entertained the idea of
No,
coming back.
he seems very content. I don't know if it was this year or last year. They asked him, like, "Don't you wish you could just jump back in?" And he was like, "No, I'm happy."
Yeah.
He's probably the happiest he's ever been,
Sure.
not racing anymore, but not having to race Max. Um, I would be Max in his,
No, Max even
RB19.
Max in 2016 was still a problem. I mean, he was
Yeah, different
yeah,
problem, but
more of a danger problem, but
yeah. Yeah, for sure. We do know the rift for them did continue for years after. Uh, they've both admitted this. Nico, again, in interviews, had said that they lived in the same building in Monaco, and there would be times that they'd like, be in the garage at the same time, and it was just like, head
they
down,
probably tried
don't
to
look.
race out of there. Who could get
Yeah,
out of the parking spot fastest?
exactly. He said there's been times that like the elevator would come and one of them is inside or waiting for the elevator, and it's like, "Oh, we'll wait for the next one." Just keep going. But years later, we now know, and again, both of them have kind of talked about this over the last couple of years, that I don't know if they're friends, but they're
They've
cordial.
buried the hatchet,
Yeah,
kind of.
they're
Yeah.
good. Last year, I know Nico did say, I think when they were in Monaco, he made the statement that Lewis does send his kids, Nico's kids, Christmas gifts every year, which is nice. Olive
Yeah.
branch. So the rivalry did last a while though.
Well,
So
we don't know what the gifts are. They could be voodoo dolls. We have no idea.
this is true.
Like,
There is a gift. There is a gift.
gotta
That's
send
all
him
we
something.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if they still live in the same building or anything, but
Pretty sure that Lewis spends his time in
elsewhere.
some mansion or on a yacht or something. Yeah, I think he's upgraded a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So, and that's kind of the Hamilton Rosberg
Yeah.
rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
sad
you
to go
had
from friends to that, but
well, you had yeah,
happens.
it was a rivalry that was basically always on the edge of an explosion, like for 3 years.
Yeah,
It's a stressful environment to work in.
yeah, and you just never knew what was going to come out of someone's mouth.
And
What
where you
was
have two garages, or
Yeah.
one garage, two sides that were
Yeah,
against each other. Like they
yeah,
had, they had his engineers, his mechanics, or whatever, or both of theirs, or whatever, and they just, I'm sure they came together for a beer afterwards, but there was probably a little bit of animosity between all of them,
yeah.
or just a
Well,
kind of,
and I think, again, just it being a PR nightmare,
oh, yeah.
just a crisis nightmare internally, because it's like, why would you as a strategist be looking into somebody else? Like, this is not how we operate. You're having to crisis manage not just those two, the entire team. Like, the
Yeah,
entire team is having to, like, you know, be pulled into meetings about like work ethics.
yeah,
So, uh, Yeah. But yeah, that's Rosberg v. Hamilton.
Yeah, that was, and then he wasn't done there.
No,
No.
he was not. He was not.
um, the other big, it's the big blow up one,
Yeah.
was Hamilton Verstappen 2021, excuse
Yeah.
me. Something very much more recent,
Hmm.
a little bit of a different dynamic, where you had, Mercedes has been this dominant force for so long. At that point, they had already won 7 in a row, or was that 8 in a row? 8 in a row, sorry. Yeah, 8 in a row, and then 7 with Lewis,
Yeah.
because Nico was the other one.
One was Nico.
Yeah. And you have Red Bull, who's not like I would say they caught up to Mercedes at that point.
Yeah.
It took them a while,
Yeah.
coming back from 2013, but they kind of caught up to Mercedes there.
Yeah.
And then you have obviously Max, who's driving for them, who's always been an aggressive driver, well, to put it lightly, right? Doesn't care about making friends on track or keeping friendships. Doesn't seem. He's got them. He's friends with everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Not everybody. There are 2 very specific people.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we kind of see where he's finally kind of got something. He's got something where he can take that fight to Lewis, and you can kind of feel it at every movement he makes on track.
Yeah. And it's a season of, it's like, it's not an underdog situation.
No.
But,
It's
you have the veteran of,
Yeah.
age, just age alone.
Yeah.
And then you have, he's on his 7th, hoping for his 8th championship. Max doesn't have one, and he's the one that's challenging Lewis. So it's like, is this a changing of the guard? Can this young kid do it?
And you see him,
young,
well, he was
at
20,
the time,
23 at the time?
20. Oh, yeah, I guess he was, yeah.
23 or 24.
Yeah.
Well, and you kind of see where he's like, I'm going to take every chance, every risk, every gap I can to make this happen. Yeah. And he does. He does.
He does from the very beginning.
Race 1, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, something that's a little bit different is Max and Lewis weren't friends. So this is not a rivalry of hatred. This is true racing rivalry. Like,
yeah, they were friendly, but they come from different eras.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Lewis is racing Schumacher and,
Vettel and Alonso.
Yeah, and, they're all out of it, other than Alonso. And so
Vettel's still there.
Oh yeah, he was there for 2021. Oh God, yeah.
He was in the Aston Martin, so nobody really remembers.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. Oh my God. But you're starting to see like the young people coming up. So it was just the natural rivalry, I think, that was happening at the time.
No, it was definitely a forced rivalry.
Well,
it was. Well, no, it was, because I mean, you saw them throughout the whole season. I mean, they're switching positions like in the standings. They're between 1 and 2. One would win, the other one would win, or there would be a DNF or whatever. And they're constantly switching positions in those standings.
Yeah.
Until at some point, I think it really changed, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it really changed at Silverstone.
Yeah.
Right, where we see them literally come together.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and the debate that comes after it, and then we always have Joss's comments, Horner's comments, which help to fuel fire everywhere.
Don't they always?
Yeah, but we'll come up to that one in a bit. We can start off from I guess from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think there was really. Where are we? Oh, yes, we are in Silverstone. That's right. Yeah, where our notes are. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we had more. Sorry, I was looking. No, we didn't have anything else before
Oh.
that. Sorry. I got ahead of myself, but I wasn't ahead of myself. Yeah, we see at Silverstone where they're coming around to turn one, which I forget what the names of Silverstone corners are. They all have names. It's not Maggots and Beckett's, is it?
No.
No.
So
Cops?
I
It was a
think it's
Cops.
Cops
That's right.
corner,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where they have that, it's pretty much a 90-degree turn, and a large gravel trap.
Yeah.
But they're coming in. It's right after that pit straight, so they're coming in with quite a bit of speed, and Max decides to take the outside line. Now, I don't know how you see it. I see them as pretty even coming to the apex.
Yeah, I would say they're
I mean, give or take an
pretty.
inch or two.
Yeah.
I'd say they're pretty even going to the apex. I mean, obviously Max has the longer route to go. But Hamilton says he didn't see it, or he didn't give him, or he was ahead of the apex, so it was his corner. So as he takes that corner wide at quite a bit of speed, clips Max's tires, which is, I mean, front and rear tires together, and Max goes for a spin at 56 Gs, I think is that 52 Gs.
Yeah.
Right into the barriers, taken to the hospital for checkups.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's fine. Didn't miss a race.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of really starts the rivalry.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like
The beef, sorry.
the beef that
The
there
beef.
is. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think, did Lewis get a penalty for it? I don't even remember. Did he?
I want to say yes. No, actually, I don't think so. No, he did not, because he finished. He won the race, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, Lewis won.
He won Silverstone. Yeah.
Yeah. And which again was his home race. I think it's
well, and then
in those moments where it's like so close.
And I think that's why he didn't get a penalty, because it was so close. Whether I'm sure there was divide with the stewards of whether he was or wasn't. And then it's Lewis at Silverstone. They're not going to take that away from him when it's that close. They're not going to make that controversial decision.
They'll just save that for the last race.
Well, yeah, and make it even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows? Maybe they did come to the decision that Lewis had that corner.
Yeah,
it's quite possible.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to see it a little bit different. I say they're pretty even, so I would say it's technically still Lewis's corner.
Yeah. I think
he did take quite a wide line, though.
Yeah, a lot of the drivers will say on their radios, "Oh, I didn't see him." Well, someone.
Oh, he was right beside him. Yeah.
Someone's beside you.
You were nose to nose. You can see him. It's not like it's not like his front wheel is at your back wheel.
Yeah.
He was right there. You can see him.
Max does it. Lewis has done it. They've all said it.
And you're coming to that corner. He's right behind you. You're looking in your mirrors. You saw him.
You guys started.
He's there.
It's lap one. He's beside you. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that happens, and then Lewis is celebrating with the flag, has the flag draped around him, going around celebrating, whooping on the radio, and that's where Horner and Joss and Helmut Marko just lose it, like saying it was disgusting behavior from a 7-time world champ. That he's doing this when his competitor is in a hospital getting checked out from a crash that he had with them. And so that actually creates the rivalry between Toto and Christian, and what makes the Netflix special or whatever, Drive to Survive, a shit ton of money.
Yes, but I mean, we can call it a racing incident because the stewards called it a racing incident.
Yeah.
There was no penalty, so it's chalked up to a racing incident. He won. What's he supposed to do? Like, at that point, we knew Max was okay. It wasn't like what has happened at races before. We know there was no broken bones. As if I remember correctly, he also was like refusing to go to the hospital, but because of the force, it's like a mandatory.
We do know now that Max has been struggling with vision problems since that hit in 2021.
Well, yeah, fair.
How much he's struggling with vision problems, I don't know. can you just knock him upside the head and he's fine, knock it straight,
Just
and he's good.
hit the other way.
I don't know the
Yeah.
extent, but he admitted this is the first time in 3 years that he's actually admitted to that.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know if you recall. Now, usually when you have some kind of an accident or you pass by an accident and you know it's a pretty big one, all drivers will ask, "Is he okay?" I don't remember Lewis asking that. I could be completely wrong. All I remember him saying is, "I didn't see him."
I don't remember. See, now you're fueling drama too.
I am
You're
not.
fueling.
I am inquiring. It's
You're
different.
saying,
I am
"Oh, Lewis
inquiring.
didn't ask."
I don't. I think no.
There's
I'm
got
not
to
saying
be
he.
a radio somewhere.
I'm not saying he didn't.
Yeah.
I also don't know if that's one of the reasons why they were so upset. Everybody else was so upset.
That would make
Because
sense, actually.
that's the first question anybody asks. Rivalry or not,
Yeah.
is he okay?
Is everybody
Not go
okay?
right into defense mode.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that he did. I just can't remember. I remember
Trying
him
not to
ask.
get sued.
I remember. Yeah, I don't need Lewis coming after me. He's got way too much money. I can't. I
Right.
can't fight that.
Funny.
Allegedly,
As
as
you're
they all
wearing a
say.
Verstappen jersey, but
It says Vegas on the front.
oh,
Thanks.
okay,
Proud of
okay.
me. Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, okay.
But yeah, so that's all gone. That's really starts the. I mean, and I remember after that, every race, every time they're close, which they were close a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Every corner, you're holding your breath, and
Yeah.
you're just going,
Yeah.
"What's gonna happen?"
Yeah.
And then it does.
Yeah, well, and I think that was also where we start to see, like you said, you start to see the real beef. You start to see
A much more aggressive
the
Max.
anger is there
Yeah.
at that point. Because before it's still just like not friendly, but it's the usual racing. They're coming together, the battles, what have you. At the end of it, they're okay, good job, good job, good job. That's where that all goes out the window.
Yeah, that hate starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where it comes in, and they're not looking at each other. They're
No, there's not an
shaking
inch
hands.
given
Yeah.
on that track.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And then, like you said, that's when we get to Monza, and
which is one of the
come
most
together.
spectacular pictures you'll ever see. And if I can
Yeah.
find it, I'll post it on up here as well.
Yeah.
Where you see you go into that chicane in Monza, which they've changed a couple times, I think, since that. I think it's changed again
I
this
think
year.
it's changed this year too.
Yeah. I think they also changed, is it Monza? The aggressiveness of the curbs. So you can actually
Yes.
get away. And that's because the curb is also what helped him, a little airborne.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, other than they go through the chicane, and Max is taking an aggressive overtake, I guess. They're coming into a corner, which, again, he would believe that he's got the apex. And then Lewis, I mean, it's a chicane. It's tight. Max says he didn't give him any room. I don't know that there was room.
I don't think there was room.
There's really no room for
Yeah.
two cars on a good day.
Yeah.
Unless they're going like 5 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
And then so Max goes over a curb, gives himself a little bit of air, and then rides right up Lewis's wheel, and then right over his head.
Yeah.
As they both go into the gravel.
Yeah.
And then guaranteed, now this one I know for a fact, nobody asked if anybody was okay.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I
nobody
mean,
asked.
he just like looked over and was like, "Oh, you still there?"
No, I don't think he looked over. I think he looked at him and just gave him like, basically said something to him like,
Yeah.
"What the hell's your problem?"
Yeah.
Or in a
Yeah.
maybe not that nice,
Different
but
language.
yeah. I don't think he was checking if he was okay.
No. I mean, and something to we also want to call out is when the cars actually get into the gravel, they're stuck. So Max
They're beached,
is
yeah.
still on top of Lewis. He's on his wheel at that point. He's not on
Yeah, I know. He's come down. He's come off the halo.
off the
He's
halo, but he's still the wheels are on top of each other.
Yeah.
And you see them both get out at their respective times on the opposite
Lewis takes a
side.
little bit of time.
Yeah. But they
I
get
mean,
out,
he fair
separately.
enough. He did get a little bit of a wheel on the helmet. A little slight touch, a little nick.
Just-
Yeah, a little bit.
God, good thing for halos. And yeah, Max does get a grid penalty for the following race, rightfully so. Yeah, I mean, we saw him go over Lando's tire this year. We saw Ocon go over Gasly's tire earlier this year as well in Monaco.
Yep.
In Monaco, yeah.
Yep.
But this one was going right over the halo.
One of the most spectacular pictures
Yeah.
you'll ever see.
It's spectacular.
Dangerously
Because
spectacular.
of how
Yeah, yeah.
dangerous it
Yeah.
is.
Like it's
Yeah.
something you'd never think you'd see.
Yeah.
Like it's just physics at its best.
Yeah, for sure. We'll just have to upload a little picture of it.
Oh yeah.
So if you're watching on YouTube, but then we get to Saudi Arabia. So again, this is all taking place in 2021. So Saudi Arabia, Max is fighting Lewis into the corner. They both go wide. He pushes him wide. Max takes the lead. As we know, you can't push somebody off or you go off and then take the lead that way. So Red Bull is very quick. They know.
They're gonna have to give that place back.
They know. They're on the radio. They're telling Max, you know what, give the spot back. We don't want you to get a penalty. Again, like Kevin said, this is a season where they're trading first place in races. So it's like, let's just avoid penalties. Let's just do what we can.
Yeah.
Give the spot back. You're going to get him back. No problem. For whatever reason, Max decides to slam on his brakes.
Was it a slam? I mean, was it?
I mean, if you brake right in front of somebody. Okay, maybe it's not a slam, but he hits his brakes in front of Lewis, who is now behind him.
Yeah.
And Lewis is like, what's going on? Isn't able to react in time and completely rear ends Max and destroys his own car. Is that strategy from Max? Bizarre strategy, but
I wouldn't think that would be more so just frustration than strategy.
Yeah. Just trying to tell the team to like get off the radio, like
just
okay,
a
fine.
stupid kamikaze move. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. And completely destroys his power unit.
Yeah.
Which could controversially lead to what happens the rest of the season. Right? So we have cost caps, we have, damage.
We have allotted power units.
A lot of power units used. And Mercedes kind of, leans on the fact that they weren't able to repair the car or get the power unit back to what it could have been, should have been, was, whatever. They're still winning, though. They're still winning races towards the end of the season. But, I mean, Lewis rear-ended him. So, Max,
if I'm too close.
If I'm Max, I'm like, I gave the spot back.
Yeah.
I tried to give it back.
Well, I mean, it could be said. You have to give the spot back. They know they're going to give the spot back because they can hear the radios. They're coming up to a corner. Maybe you don't want to give it around the corner. Maybe you want to strategically give it before the corner so you can try and retake right away.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they got brake lights. I mean, come on. We saw the same thing with George and Alonso. We had the same argument, and we still blame George.
We did still blame George. Now we're like, come on.
Yeah.
But so power unit issues for Mercedes, specifically Lewis, for the end of towards the end of the season for them. Yeah, and I mean, they're, again, this point, they're neck and neck with points. They are, switching who the leader is in the driver championship. One is winning, one is getting second. They're both DNFing in races. Not the same race all the time, but, they're one DNFs this race, one DNFs the next race. And
and one thing is, like, I think shortly after the break, maybe a few races after the break, Max goes on a tear. Now, for whatever reason, he wins several in a row. He does take a significant, I think he was up by, 40 or 60 points at some point.
Yeah.
So it kind of looks like it's almost all but lost.
Hmm.
And somehow through whether it's luck or I don't believe in fate, but whatever,
Whatever that thing is.
whatever you want to call it, I don't care. He has a DNF. Lewis wins races. We get to Brazil,
Hmm.
and it's probably one of the greatest comeback or collection of points I've ever seen from anybody.
Yeah.
He goes to 20th. He starts in 20th for also a sprint race.
Hmm.
So he starts in 20th for this sprint race. He
Yeah.
ends up getting up to. Oh, sorry, did he have the grid penalty? He had a grid penalty, which started him in 20th, didn't he?
He had issues on both days, or like the
Yes.
sprint
Yes.
and I don't remember which one. Because one day I think he started 14th, and then one day he started 20th. I can't remember which one was which.
I believe it's the race he starts 14th.
And then the sprint.
Yeah, something like that. But
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, anyways. He ends up coming from 20th all the way to first and making, or something like that, a 14th all the way to first to take that win when nobody thought he was going to win or that Red Bull was. And he did it fairly late on in the race.
Yeah.
I think it was probably like the last 2 laps of the race,
Yeah.
3 laps of the race.
Yeah.
He was driving like a madman
Yeah.
and brought it right back down to the last race.
Yeah. He was driving in a way that we hadn't really seen Lewis drive recently. He was driving how Max drives and
Yeah.
how we've been getting used to seeing Max drive, being so aggressive. And I think that's one thing that's really good about Lewis. He's not typically the aggressive driver,
Yeah.
but when he does get aggressive, he still knows how to do it very risk versus reward. Like
Yeah.
he's very good at judging. We talked about it with Nico. Like he is still an analytical driver, as well. So yeah,
Yeah. He sees that racetrack
yeah,
in a different way.
he pulls out the win in Brazil, and then everything is riding on Abu Dhabi. 2021, which is the last race of the season. Both drivers have the exact same number of points. It's truly going to be a winner takes all,
Yeah.
at that point. A lot of the promotion at the time, we've talked about this before, but they kind of promote the race like a boxing match because they
Oh,
have
yeah.
like the head to head. They have all the stats of this point and this points and DNFs and everything, and they at the nobody cares who's coming in second, third, fourth.
Nobody's
Cares.
watching anything. Nobody's what? What?
No.
I wouldn't say that because somebody cares.
Yeah.
Somebody cares who's
Yeah.
who's not even in the points.
Yeah. But at this point, it's just a matter of who is winning this champion, who's winning this race, because it's determining who's winning the championship. It's not often that it comes down to the last race.
Yeah, and at this point,
yeah.
Mercedes has already won the Constructors Championship.
Yeah.
So we know that. So it all comes down to who's winning the drivers.
Yeah.
So nobody cares about anything else.
Yeah. And and especially it doesn't often happen that we're waiting for the last race to figure out who's winning the drivers. Maybe we'll see who's coming second, third. Like that could be a battle.
Else falls. Yeah.
Yeah, like last year. But this one, it was for first.
I think everybody. They even asked everybody else.
Yeah.
In who they think's gonna win. They asked all the other drivers.
Grid.
Yeah. Who nobody else nobody cares. How are you gonna do it? No. Nobody else cares. Even the drivers don't care. They want to see how this is gonna shake out.
Yeah. They were all, I think everybody was excited. They were just like, we'll just let them go and we'll race our race back here. And I know this is Kevin's favorite race of all time and the stuff that happened. So I'll just let you continue.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite race of all time.
I mean,
it's definitely up there. Why? Because he won and I'm wearing a Verstappen jersey?
Well, no, I like the whole Latifi of it all.
Oh, yeah. The greatest Canadian alive.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Canada.
The whole Latifi of it all is just...
Well, we see Lewis is leading most of the race. It doesn't look like he's going to get caught. He's winning and he's It's quite a ways up there. It doesn't look like Red Bull has that strategy. They don't have the extra oomph in their car. Like, he's going to get his 8th title. He's going to beat Schumacher. And then, I can't remember how much of a gap he built. Either way, we're watching it. It's almost all said and done. Everybody's kind of just resigned to the fact that Lewis is going to win. Mm-hmm. And then Latifi, whatever you want to call him, doesn't even beach himself. He comes out of, I can't remember what turn it is, but it's the turn that they've changed now since Latifi.
Yeah.
He comes out of this turn and most drivers kiss this barrier. Latifi kissed it, tongue and all.
Yeah.
It was
he did a French kiss.
Destroyed himself.
Yeah.
With which he was okay.
Yeah.
This actually did kill his career. We never saw him again.
No, he had 2022.
Oh, he did race in 2022. Yeah. Sorry. He did get death threats. Yes, poor guy.
He did.
Anyways, so safety car comes out. Full on safety car comes out. Okay. Usually something like this, I would think coming out of that corner might have been a red flag, but it wasn't. It was just a safety car, yellow flag. And so normally in this situation, well, what the rules dictate are that if we're going to race again, so there's 6 laps left after they've cleared out all the debris. If they're going to race again, they have the option to leave it as it is, or they can unlap all the lapped cars. Mm-hmm. Now, at this time, there are 5 lapped cars between Max and Lewis. Mm-hmm. 5 lapped cars. And there are several other lapped cars. There's probably like another 6 or 7 behind Max. That Lewis has lapped, essentially. Lewis, the debate on the radio is, are we going to race or are we going to finish this title under a safety car? So that becomes the problem. That becomes the issue for the FIA. Yeah. Nobody wants the championship to be decided under a safety car, which if it wasn't a safety car, it wouldn't have been, and Lewis would have won.
Yeah.
Like we said. I forget what his name, Michael Massey? Is it? His last name? Is it Massey?
I think so.
I think so. He takes the decision after a bunch of lobbying between Toto and Christian, all calling Michael and the FIA because they have a direct link. They don't anymore. Of what they should do. Obviously, Toto just wants to finish it as it is under the safety car or unlap all the cars. I don't know what Christian Horner said to Michael Massey to convince him that for TV ratings, or maybe it was Liberty Media, I don't know.
Yeah.
That said it to him. They decide that they're only going to lap the 5 cars between Max and Lewis, which is going to bunch them up, Max and Lewis, and they're going to get to race for one last lap.
Yeah.
1 lap. Which we get one of the greatest lines ever. Was it just as the lap started, or was it before the lap started?
I think it was at the end.
Or was it after the end? Was it at the end of the race?
Yeah.
Oh, it was the end of the race. It was actually after Max passes Lewis.
Yeah.
And we get Toto losing his mind.
Yeah.
Which, if I can find it, I'll try and put it up.
No,
if I still have it. No, Mike, this is so not right. It's so not right.
No, Mikey. No, Mikey. That was so not right.
Great. We do it every
time.
Best.
It's the best. I want that as my ringtone.
Yeah.
When my mic friends call me.
all the mics.
Like one. Anyways, so that's what they do. They unlap the 5 cars. They get everything cleaned up as fast and as hectically as they can. Some of the drivers that are on the grid that are the lapped cars, like, are we sure it's just 5? Just only us 5? Are we actually going to do this? Like, they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Because none of this is in the regulations.
Yeah.
None of this is supposed to be like this.
I can't remember who was directly behind Lewis at that point, but he was also lapped or a lapped
I think
car.
Norris was in there too.
Yeah, and they were saying, should I go? I remember hearing that radio, should I go? And they were like, no, it's not you. And there was like, what? What do you mean it's not me? Yeah. So I think it was confusion all around for everybody.
And yeah, so they get that last lap started, where normally when you see a restart, that initial car gets to decide the pace coming at around that last corner down to the start line. And the actual, correct me if I'm wrong here, I forget exactly. Lewis was on an old set of soft tires because they decided not to pit.
Yes.
And then Max had actually pitted not too long ago. So he's on much, much fresher
He
tires.
pit at the beginning of the safety car. As
Beginning of the safety car.
As soon as Latifi cracked, because the gap was big enough for Max to go in for.
And that's why he had the lap cars between them. That's right.
He had enough of a gap to do this the pit. Lewis did not. Even if he wanted to.
If he pitted, Max would have gone ahead and stayed out. Yeah.
If he wanted to, it would have been the dumbest decision. But, he was banking on those lapped cars still being there. So
yeah, he's taking second whether they unlap him or not, or he gets a chance to race.
Exactly.
So they unlap those 5, and he's on much fresher tires. And as soon as they hit turn 2 or 3, he takes the lead. I mean, Lewis had no chance.
No.
He takes that lead. Total freaks out.
Yeah.
Lewis is, I'm not freaking out, but you could tell in his voice, he's just so disappointed. He has lost all faith in the FIA, and he continues to say to this day that he has no faith in the FIA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, you could almost see, like, if you could see a car being defeated, like as soon as Max gets it, because Max also gets him and is gone. Like,
gone.
Lewis can't catch him.
No, and his tires aren't going to hold up.
His tires weren't holding up. You could just see, like, the car was even shocked. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But, and
we get the most controversial end to a season I've seen.
Yeah.
Most controversial end to a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the saddest I've ever seen. Like, I mean, Max was happy.
Yeah.
I don't think any, even me, I'm a Max fan, and there was nothing. It didn't feel right to be happy. It just did, like, it didn't. It was so weird.
Yeah. And Lewis sat in his car for 8 minutes. So this is someone that's now come second. So he's getting a trophy. He's not getting the championship.
No.
But he sat in his car for 8 minutes in silence.
Well, he was crying.
Oh.
Guaranteed. He's like, I'm not taking this thing off.
It was devastating. And I mean, now you have someone that you think it's going to be someone's 8th title, and now it's become someone's 1st title. Yeah. And to this day, I mean, people are still debating if Max cheated. Was Lewis robbed? This was a setup. There's just
they debate the whole season too. Yeah. Like, should there have been more penalties here or there? Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. But I mean, the only people that Max and Lewis have moved on.
Yeah.
When they came together the next year, everybody was kind of like, "Oh, is it gonna?" I mean, for the first few times they came together, but I mean that started not Lewis's, Mercedes shit era. Basically, their car was terrible from 2022 on.
Yeah.
So there really was no contest.
Yeah.
It just fueled the Toto and Christian beef.
Yeah.
Even more.
Yeah.
That started their rivalry.
They fought for the entire
2 more years.
Yeah, like they just continued fighting. We have that rivalry has given us a lot of iconic memes, sounds.
Fix your fucking car.
I was just thinking the same thing. Like, it's just there's just been so much from that rivalry.
That's the rivalry that really came out of the Lewis Max rivalry.
Yeah.
It was Toto and Christian.
And it's still going to some degree. All respect on.
Yeah. It's simmered out a little bit, I think. We'll see what happens in 2026. Yeah.
It's gotten more jokey for sure, but we'll see. We'll see if
2026 when Mercedes is back on top or close to it,
and Max is driving,
and then Max is gone from We'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, that is Verstappen v Hamilton. So two Hamilton involved rivalries, which, like we
Yeah.
said, there are more. And there's more other drivers too. Like, we're not picking on Hamilton by any means. It's just these
No,
are
they're
the
just
most,
the most visible.
yeah,
I mean, he is the most decorated,
yeah,
one of the most, the most decorated,
yeah,
yeah, driver in F1. So
yeah,
it's easy to find his
yeah,
rivalries. I mean, he's always at the top, so he's always going to have a rival.
yeah.
It's usually where they happen.
There's always someone fighting him. So, but yeah, and I think we didn't have much news this week. It's been, again, a bit of a
No, a
quiet.
pretty quiet one. I don't even know if it's worth pulling up.
Oh.
Well, honestly,
Yeah,
I did
nothing,
have it, but there wasn't much.
nothing
I think
really.
the only thing I
Notable.
can really remember was the fact that Perez hasn't led a lap
Right, in 2024.
in 2024. Not one lap. Not even after a safety car. A pit stop.
Or a
Nothing.
safety car.
Or a safety car, yeah.
Or a
Oh,
safety car.
shit. Nothing.
Yeah, like, you just
Nothing.
haven't led a lap.
Nothing. He is also, though, has the least overtakes.
I get
I
that.
think he has 0 overtakes.
Stop.
Been overtaken, I mean, sorry.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't been overtaken, or he's got the least times being overtaken this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Number 1 is my favorite. But anyways.
wow. We digress. So,
Did you want to do a fresh? We haven't done it in a while. Do you want to do a fresh set and a dirty air out of the 2 rivalries we had?
Ooh, yeah, we could.
Yeah, let's go back to that. I missed that segment. I
Okay. Fresh
need a
set.
dirty air I could complain about.
You just want to complain. You could
Yeah,
just
yeah,
complain if you would like.
I love it. I do. I do love it.
Of these two,
Like a moment in either of them.
a moment in.
Yeah. We don't have to pick one of the the whole thing. Just like
Okay.
a moment in either of them.
Oh, I don't know.
I know. I just sprung it on you. It was just an
Yeah, I
idea.
don't know. I mean, I can do my dirty air. I know my dirty air. I think, just like, the emotional side of it. I think it's really sad that, 2 best friends went through years of like truly hatred. Like,
Yeah.
that you guys can't even go into the garage or the elevator together. Like, that's a different level of hatred.
Yeah.
So I think that's really sad. And I do think Mercedes has like a hand in all of that. Like, they should have stepped in
sure.
a lot sooner. But it was great for them. But again, like, they're winning, so like they're like, ooh, do we have a problem?
I mean, they won, but I mean, how much do you hurt your team in the
Yeah.
in the interim?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's my dirty air.
That's your dirty air. Oh, my dirty. I have a fresh set. My dirty air. My dirty air would have to be. I think it would be that crash in Silverstone.
That's your fresh set?
That's my dirty air.
Oh, your dirty air. Okay, sorry. I wasn't listening. Sorry.
I don't necessarily think that Hamilton should have gone away with nothing, even a time penalty at the least. I think that he was close enough to the pushing him off track or not leaving room where he could have at least gotten a 5 or a 10-second penalty. Not that it would have mattered.
Yeah.
I think there was a little bit of bias there with it Hamilton and being Silverstone.
And being Silverstone.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's my dirty air.
Okay. My fresh set. And I think it just kind of goes to both scenarios, really. Is just like the drama that unfolded and like the cattiness that like came from
reality
TV. That came from it. It's just like, you just don't think like grown men will act a certain way, and
Grown men will act worse.
Worse. They are grown men with big toys.
Yeah,
That's what's gonna happen. Yeah. Just keep going.
I don't know how much you can see in those suits. So my fresh set would be I had two. What was the two? I know one. No, I forgot the other one. Uh, my fresh set it's going to come down to two. It's going to be Lewis's race in Brazil. So coming to the sport late, as I did, really showed me the kind of driver that he was. Not that he didn't show it before, but like him at his absolute best.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the best drives I've ever seen anybody race that I've watched.
And just like, putting his head down and just driving.
Yeah. Like, not starting in 20th, but like, I don't think we can do anything this week, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Which happened like the next year.
Yeah.
2 years after that. That, and then I think the other one I really liked was the, just Rosberg, just dropping the mic, winning one and done, and see you later. I'm out.
It's the most hilarious thing that anybody could do.
Yeah, just pulling the magician, you throw down the smoke, and you poof, you're gone. Yeah. It's just out.
Like, you kind of think, like,
I respect it.
Was this guy ever actually a Formula One driver? Like, he's just a guy
like, he was there, he was good, and all of a sudden he won one, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
It's better than watching, like, your sports hero do it, win, come back, they're a shell of themselves. Yeah. And like, why did I like this guy?
Yeah. It's just, it is a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
Took him a couple years, but he did it. And it was the best moment to do it. So
that's it.
Why not?
Okay. So that's it. Yeah. So
next week we're back with Netherlands.
Yeah.
The Dutch Grand Prix.
Dutch Grand Prix
is Max's
second home race. Third home race? No, we've rated in two. Got Belgium. Got Netherlands.
One, and he's got Austria for
Red Bull. So his third home Grand Prix.
Yeah.
No, but he also because he's got three. He's Dutch. He's Belgium and something else. He's got three heritages. Are they all races? I forget now. Anyways, it is Netherlands.
Yes.
It'll be a sea of orange.
Yes.
If Lewis ends up on the podium, they'll boo him. Which they still do.
Yeah, and I just realized, I'll be watching. I'll be on a cruise, which is a Dutch cruise line.
Oh, you're in Holland, America.
I'm
that's right.
in Holland, America.
Yeah, so, nobody try and find her.
No, it's just in the world, somewhere in the world, on a Holland, America cruise. But yeah, so we will be back next week. In the meantime, you can find us on all social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, X, which is formerly Twitter, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. We're everywhere at Fresh Set Podcast. And I think that's it.
We're getting much better at this.
Much better.
When you do it. when I do it, I F it up completely.
Much better. But we will see you guys next week.
Yep. Grab a fresh set.
Bye.